Hello everyone, Chess Hoodie here. We have a new game. Let's hope that my computer is not gonna heat up again. So I was black against Audi Putty with the rating of 2288. And let's start. Knight f3, d6, something that I have been experimenting recently. Bishop g4, knight bd2, knight d7, b3, e5 as quickly as possible, bishop b2, queen e7, and here comes the first interesting moment. I set a little trap by taking here, and if he recaptures with the knight, then my trap springs open with e4, and after, for example, knight d2, e3, if you take that pawn, you get checkmated on the next move. So white would have to probably go something like this, but then he loses the right to castle, and I get this square. So very nice position, I think. My opponent realized that he should not take with the knight, so he has two options. Both are interesting. He chose this one. I took here because now I want to separate his pawns into three islands. It's nothing much, but it's a little something. Okay, bishop d4, knight f6, e3, g6. So here there are many options on each of the moves, so I'm not going to spend too much time on everything. But here comes an interesting and instructive moment. Where would you develop this bishop? On this diagonal or on this diagonal? I think that it belongs on this diagonal. In conjunction with this move, it will exert some pressure on my position and also cover the light squares on that side. But my opponent chose a wrong position, I think. So far, nothing major, but it's again a little bit something. Bishop g7, knight e4, and here I decided to simplify. The position was too complicated for this short time control, so I could gamble and play the principal moves, advancing my central pawns with queens on the board, but I decided to go for something simpler, knight h5. And then there was an exchange of bishops, and now I set another little trap after queen d2, queen e5. What's the trap? It's pretty basic. If white castles, which maybe he desires to do, then he again gets checkmated. But of course, I didn't expect him to fall for it. So he offered the queen trade, and I gladly accepted, looking for some chances in this endgame. If it's an endgame, maybe it's a queenless middle game. Who knows? So c6, I think it's important to control this square on d5, not to let the knight jump in. All right, he castled, and let's go quickly to next several moves. The position is balanced, so there are many moves that don't disturb this balance at this point. So let's see, it looks like my computer is heating up. I hope that my face is not frozen. And after some play, there came a moment where I had a hallucination. So after, let's go a few more moves ahead. Yes, so this is the moment. I knew that I cannot protect this pawn along the sixth rank because then bishop f5 is the killer move. I either get checkmated or I lose material. But for some reason, I thought that the same move works against rook g8, but it's just a hallucination. My rook is protected and the g7 square is protected. And based on this false reasoning, I exchange my good knight for his slightly bad bishop. And now I have to defend, and I get into some kind of passive position which I shouldn't lose, but it's hard to play for a win because my two pieces are tied to the defense of g6 pawn, and it's not easy to untangle. Okay, my opponent wanted more, so he started advancing, planning to open some files. It shouldn't work, but eventually the opening of the lines happened. And here there are many possibilities in each move, so I'm just going to cut the video short, not discuss all of them until the next very interesting moment, which is here. I have to find some good counterplay because he wants to take my pawn, but I will take one of his pawns. Now a choice, which one should we take, this one or that one, after exchanging rooks first, sorry. And I opted for the a pawn and planned to attack his kingside pawns later because he doesn't have any pawns on the queen side. So now if I win a couple of pawns there, the other two might remain weak. But let's see. F3, rook a3, rook b3, and I haven't considered going into a pawn endgame at this moment. I didn't even think about it. So the position was sort of repeating, and then after I made this move, my opponent thought for 20-30 seconds, I think. And now an idea came to my mind. Why not go into a pawn endgame if the opportunity presents itself and try to win it by waiting for a mistake? Because let's observe. First, my opponent allowed it. Here, I was hoping that he will repeat. And now, this pawn endgame, I can never lose because these two pawns, they protect each other. They cannot promote on their own, but it's a known piece of endgame theory. They protect each other. Opponent's king cannot capture them. The only way they can promote is if I somehow support them with my king. And let's see what happened. King c4, a4. So now that's what I meant when I said they protect each other, because when one of them is attacked, the other one advances. So if white captures, this is a queen. So he cannot capture. So he went back, and I improved my king. And you see, slowly I'm improving my king, but there will come a point where I cannot improve anymore. And this was this point, because as you can see, these two pawns are sort of passed pawns. So at this moment, my king has to be at the most one step away from entering this square. But once this pawn advances to e5, I need to watch this square. And what does that mean? That means that my king cannot advance forward. In this position, my king can advance one step for a brief moment, and that's the winning idea. My opponent made a mistake or a blunder because now, as I told you, I have to watch this square. So from b4, I'm still watching that square, but I'm supporting my pawns, and now one of them is promoting. So for example, if he now pushes e5, I just go c3 to control this square, and now this will be a queen. So he will queen too, but his queen is not going to last long. So this is one possible variation. Actually, it's pretty forced, winning the queen. So he cannot push e5 anymore. If he moves the king, I just push c3, and I also promote the pawn. So he tried the breakthrough, but it doesn't work. As I told you, my king is close enough to come back. And after gf5, ef5, the retreating move. So now my king will just pick up these pawns, and then he will come to support the promotion of one of these pawns. So after f6, king d6, my opponent resigned. So it was a lucky win because I had nothing, maybe slight advantage after the opening, but then pretty even game. And I entered the drone pawn endgame, but it's an endgame which requires accuracy from white, because black cannot lose, just playing normal moves. And Accuracy wasn't there for one brief moment, and that's how I won today's game. Alright, thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Bye.